Hello, everyone, and welcome to this really interesting conversation with these really great people. Today, I'm saying this is an interesting conversation because this is going to be about a very amazing topic, a topic that kind of obsesses everybody, and that's freedom and autonomy. When people hear the word freedom, everybody will be like, yes, I like freedom. I like autonomy. But what kind of freedom? And is there a difference between autonomy and freedom? Today, as I said, I have my great friends here, and we're going to explore this topic, talking about freedom, autonomy, and the difference between them. And is there a real difference? And which one do we need more, freedom or autonomy? Now, as I said, I have Omer here, and also I have my brother Roberto. First, I'll give everyone a chance to introduce himself, and after that, we'll explore the topic step by step. So I'll start with Omer.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dare, the good presenter.
Thank you.
I think yes, it's a very significant topic that we need to discuss, and we need to elaborate, and we need to extend what exactly the context of the freedom and the autonomy. For me, as I said, like, I don't want to go there deeply generally, but I think it's very significant as humans to know exactly what is meant to be freedom. To generalize is that the freedom, I think, the process of we becoming to implement what we think is more best option or something like that. And autonomy is there, I think, in the context that related to the concept of self determining the choices that you want to have it for your own self, I guess. So this is the general introduction, and then we can see.
Nice, nice. Roberto.
Excellent. Thank you also for arranging and planning this conversation today. I am very happy to see all of you. And those who are watching, we would like to actually know your
Say hi.
opinion,
Right.
comments, whatever you want to share. We'll read. So today maybe my idea is to not to present the trivial or well-known ideas about freedom or autonomy, maybe practical, personal, and illustrative examples, how I consider it important, both concepts, consider them. So,
Nice, nice, nice. So, one of the important things to remember when discussing a topic like this is to start with some simple definitions that can help us lead the conversation. So, the key words here are autonomy and freedom, or freedom and autonomy. Now, again, we're not going to look for dictionary definitions that everybody agrees on. But I want you guys to come up with your own definitions. Like Omer, how do you define those words?
I think generally I would define the freedom is like, for example, not focusing on the classical and the theological definitions, but I kind of generally say that freedom is the capacity to be able to have those kind of good choices that you make and then process to implement those choices that you have. For example, I choose the good from bad. So how are you going to be a good person for them in life? So that the process of becoming and the way you act to process that, I think that's the idea of we're moving on the freedom. It's not about like the maximization of, let's say, choices that existed. I need to have many multiple choices that to do, or to generally say, like in a very old classical understanding of freedom, people are saying sometimes I have to have all the choices that I need to do whatever I like to do. So let's say if there's someone say like it's my interest to do something bad to the humans, if that is a choice can be defined in the freedom. I think to the sense of we are the humans, so we obviously that we are not like create ourselves, for example. So necessarily there is a sense of that. I think like the moral high position for a human to say, I have the ultimate moral position to decide whatever is good, whatever is like nice or bad, or I don't know, those options that we human, we don't have it. I think we can explore through those choices that exist. So my simple point is that it's not about the maximization of the choices, and it's not even minimization of the choices of the freedom that existed. And to the other side of the autonomy is that it's more about self, like for example, like self-legislation, for example, meaning that I, as the persons, I will do my best to make the best choices based on my, let's say, subjective understanding of things. So, meaning that kind of self-sovereignty, self-governing, self-becoming, you become responsible on your own choices, I guess.
Right.
I think that's the way I can see the definition of a freedom.
Interesting. Roberto, first, do you agree with the definitions? And if yes, is there anything else that you want to add? And if no, how do you define the two words?
I don't want to disagree in the part of the definition, but
That's the freedom.
but I want to disagree in many other points, but not defining.
Okay.
I am kidding, no. But maybe to summarize,
Okay.
I would say that according to that perspective is the existence of these options. Multiple options are needed if we talk about freedom. So maybe like to make it very, very short,
Sure.
we understand freedom if the options exist.
Right. Okay. So freedom is the existence of options. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean at least in
Have the option to do whatever you like to do.
Whatever.
not exactly that. Is that in simple terms? For example, I am in a restaurant and there is a menu. There are different options. Okay, I can see if somebody tells me, okay, you are free to choose the one that you want. There is freedom if the options exist. This is one way of to illustrate it simply. For example, if I am forced or I am oppressed, now in the very well-known condition of lack of freedom, for example, slavery. In that case, the options are not permitted to exist.
Right.
So this is what I wanted to illustrate. And maybe the second example is the simple or probably that we all understand, but the first one was the one I wanted to emphasize. Okay, let's talk about freedom, or to present it in simple terms, that the options exist.
Okay. Omer, what do you think about that? Freedom is, well, I don't want to say the existence of options, but there is freedom if there is options.
I kind of see Roberto's perspective in general, but I kind of still slivering to understand exactly what you mean by the multiplicity of the option, or they necessarily have to be option to define. If you are not making a clear dimension on option exists to do what or to choose whatever we like to choose from those options, if they are limited to the rules, for example, if like let's say you were saying like I am there in the restaurants, and then there are multiple or different type of meal or names existed in the menu, and if you say like it's very significant that this is we define it as the option. I think this is like some kind of oriented, managed, option. You don't choose them. You didn't like make those meal, for example. Those meal are already being determined. It's like very marketing idea perspective to understand. For example, the restaurant owners, they think like this is the good product for the customers,
And you're free.
and you're free. I think I kind of disagree on that context. Otherwise, we have to have clarifications, because there's a clear fragmentation on the concept itself, I think. So,
Okay, so Roberto, you're just given options. For example, okay, if you go to a restaurant where there's only two options, this and this, in your terms, there you're free. If you choose this, you're free, and if you choose this, you're free. But in fact, freedom goes beyond that, or at least this is what I understand from what Omer says, because he says, okay, you're not the maker of that menu. The menu is just given to you, and you can't add any other options. You just choose what's on the menu. That's not freedom. That's like just taking whatever that is offered to you.
I actually agree. I mean, the concept of freedom, if defined, includes many more elements rather than maybe an emphasis of freedom of choice, for example. That is probably what I am illustrating with the example. And I decided to illustrate this freedom or the example of the menu because I wanted to present autonomy in that context. Okay, if there are options, let's say that I agree totally that this is not the more complete definition of freedom, but just let's continue with the illustration and the maybe freedom of choice. The options exist, but the autonomy is that based on, I don't know exactly what determines my decision, but I am not forced. I am the external factors will not determine my election. So by my autonomy, I decide this option.
Okay, I wanna press you a little bit on this, Roberto. Okay, if there is a dictator, I think whoever is under a dictator, I think you'd consider somebody who is living under a dictator as somebody who's not free, right? Right. Okay. So if there is a dictator who allows you to have a lot of money, and he also allows you to go out, enjoy your life, but then you can't think about how he rules the country. You can't think about how he does business. Do you consider yourself, or do you think that's freedom? Like, because he's giving you options. He's giving you a lot of options. Having money, living your life, but then there are these red lines. Is that like living in a free environment?
So this is very good. It demonstrates that the example of the menu is only a simple illustration, but do not represent completely what is freedom, or sorry that I approached to freedom of choice.
It's okay.
Because I don't know, I felt inclined to talk about freedom of choice when in the context of autonomy.
Right.
But yes, there in that case, the dictator is
Oppressing others?
Is excluding options. So there is an interference in the freedom.